Welcome everybody to this Christmas World Satsanga held on the 21st of December 2022. Again, it's always in conjunction with Kevin Moore and the Kevin Moore Show, which is his YouTube channel. So please do go and check out his docu-series. They call this channel. It's very interesting. Lots of people being in contact with the greater reality in lots of different ways, in lots of different qualities as well. So today's lecture is one that I've been meaning to do for quite some time, and it's probably going to be a little bit shorter than normal, but nevertheless, I think the message is going to be quite interesting. Because what I'm going to talk about is the choosing of the human body before we're incarnate. Now, on Earth, there are lots of different body types, aren't there? There's obviously male, female. We have people who have desires for the same body type as people have desires for the opposite body type. And we have people whose body skins are various different colors with different genomes based upon different parts of the world, or from my knowledge, which particular part of the physical universe they've been imported from, or whether they have survived the frequential changes from different levels of civilization on the Earth. And so we have, in effect, at least 7 different genome types for the human race on the planet. We have the Asian types, we have the Afro-Caribbean types, the white Caucasian types, and everything in between. So when we incarnate, we choose the location that we're going to incarnate into based upon the evolutionary opportunities it gives us and what we would like to achieve. So it's immaterial, basically, as to what the body type is. If it just happens to have a disability, for example, we think, okay, it's got a disability. I can learn something else about being incarnate. Souls don't say, oh no, it's got a problem with its spine and it's going to be in a wheelchair for the rest of the incarnation. It's difficult. Souls don't see that. Souls don't see that, the best opportunity for me is to be in an Indian body in South India. Souls don't see that. They just see it as being it's an opportunity for incarnation. So if you think of it this way, you want to experience something and you want to experience incarnation on Earth. You don't care whether it's black, white, orange, yellow, pink with blue spots. All you're thinking is, great, I can incarnate. You don't think about, well, this particular body might have a predisposition to getting lung cancer later because of the environment it's in, or maybe it's part of its genome. You think, oh, okay, but it's still incarnation. I can still incarnate, and maybe I'll get the opportunity to experience what it's like to have this particular disease in this particular body with the particular people that surround me. So there is joy in the heart of a soul when it's got the potential to incarnate. It's not choosy. Obviously, it chooses its life plan, those goals that it wants to experience whilst it's on the planet, but it doesn't reject a body because of its skin color or the potential family type it might be incarnating into, or whether it's potentially going to have a disease, or whether it might be terminated at some point because it's part of a natural catastrophe. The soul thinks, I've got the chance to incarnate. And that's really important because the chance to incarnate is really slim in comparison to the number of souls or aspects that are in the multiverse. There's countless billions and trillions of true energetic cells, and each of those true energetic cells has the potential to project up to 12 smaller individualized units of sentience and energy from it. And of course, all of those smaller units of itself, those aspects, what we call souls, also have the chance of projecting smaller individualized units of its own sentience, what I call shards or subsouls. So they are all experiencing, learning, and evolving as well. So the whole point is to be here to evolve, and those trillions of true energetic cells times by 12, and then times by 12 again, because that's the number of shards or subsouls that can be projected from an aspect or soul, increases the number of potential entities that want to incarnate on Earth, because it's the only location in the whole of the physical universe, certainly on this frequency, that has the capacity to offer individualized free will, not collective free will. And so if you're given the chance to incarnate, you take it. We don't think, oh, I'm not going to take it because I don't like that body type, or that particular body type is predisposed to putting weight on, or that particular body type is predisposed to being too thin, or that particular body type is susceptible to getting colds or fevers or these sorts of things. We just simply say, oh, fantastic, I've got the chance to incarnate. So if people realize this, that when they come here on this planet, the body type is immaterial, the way in which they leave the incarnation is immaterial, it's just an experience, then we would see each other as in a completely different light. We would see each other not as the body, but as the soul. I mean, another thing to think about is that if we consider us as the human body now, as the soul, and a car, a motor car, as the body, and we move into the body and we use that car, unless we are sort of egotistical and we think, oh, okay, I'd rather have a Mercedes or a Rolls Royce than a Fiat or a Peugeot, then we consider the body, the car, as being just that, a vehicle. In the end of the day, that's all a motor car is. It's a vehicle to get from A to B. And when we go somewhere, maybe we hire one. Okay. In general, most people just hire a car that they can afford. And it doesn't matter if it ends up being a Peugeot, a Citroen, a Ford, a Seat, a Kia, a Hyundai or a Toyota. It doesn't matter. It's a car that they can use to enjoy their holiday with, or go to the place of work they need to go to if they're fortunate enough to go to a different country for their work. This is the same with the human body. All we're doing is using it like a hire car, basically. We don't worry about whether it's going to last 35 years or 135 years. All we know is it's going to provide us with a level of the ability to navigate in a free will state on a planet that's going to give us the potential to experience an elevated level of evolutionary progression through being in an environment where everything around us, the circumstances around us, and those other entities that are incarnate also have individualized free will rather than collective or communionized free will. So again, we don't care. We don't care whether the body ends up being crushed at the end of the day. We think, okay, that'll be experience. That'll be an experience in which we can basically enjoy later. We think from a human perspective that being crushed or having cancer. Why would a soul do that? When we're in the energies, we're in a completely higher state of existence. What happens to the human body? Although we'd like to preserve it, and we should preserve it for as long as possible to experience, learn, and evolve in a maximized state, in a more efficient state. At the end of the day, we don't worry about how the body dies. We don't worry about whether it's going to last 20 years, 30 years, or 40 years, or 60 years, or 80 years, or whether it's got a limp, or whether it's got a problem where it might get multiple sclerosis later. We see it all as an experience. The problem is that when we're incarnate, our communicative bandwidth is so low that we lose the capacity to be able to communicate in an efficient and effective way. So we can no longer see and experience that which we really are. We can no longer think in the way we are. So we think as the human body as what we are. We think of it as being the only body we've got, the only body we will ever get. We only get one life. Well, it's nonsense. We've already had thousands of them, tens of thousands. Some people have had hundreds of thousands. And when we choose to come here, we don't say, oh, I can't have that body because of this. We can't have that body because of that. We're grateful for the opportunity to be able to incarnate. So if we realize this, that really, consider the body is like a hire car that we use, and we just send back to the company we've hired it from at the end. And we are as we are. We overlay that on what we are normally, a soul, which is basically sentience and energy, occupying a vehicle, animating it, progressing around the world. We're experiencing the world in different ways to experience, learn, and evolve. And that's what we are. Then why do we need to think badly of other people? Why do we need to have prejudices? Why do we need to consider somebody as being this color or that color, this ability or that ability? Why do we need to say we're a person of this or a person of that? We don't. If we recognize that we're a soul, the human body is a vehicle that we're using in a temporary condition, in a temporary time, for example, just to experience being here, and that what we're experiencing is what we desired to experience, including how the body degrades over time, because we're not aware of our ability to perpetuate its existence through our will, basically, our desire, then we can consider that in real terms, everybody is equal and everybody can be our friends, because everybody is a soul. All souls are evolving. We're all on different levels of evolution. That's clear. But it doesn't matter, because we're all doing it in our way. If we evolve faster, maybe we don't evolve in a deeper way than somebody who's taking a bit longer to evolve. But we're all doing it for our true energetic self, and we're all doing it for source. So every way in which we evolve is unique and is of value. So every soul is of value, and therefore every soul in a body is of value, because we're all equal. We're all doing the same thing. We're all experiencing, learning, and evolving through our true energetic selves, our higher selves, or over souls, or Godhead. All those words mean the same thing. On behalf of Source, she's doing it on behalf of the origin, and so we should love each other, because we're all doing the same thing. We're all striving for the same thing. Just because we've got a different body type doesn't matter. We've been grateful to use that body type in this particular incarnation. We had the chance, and we grabbed it with both hands and both feet, so to speak. Even if it had a disability, we will have grabbed it. Yeah? It's like running for the bus. We're grateful that we've caught the bus. We're grateful that we've had the opportunity to have the potential to incarnate and experience, learn, and evolve. So when you think derogatory thoughts about somebody because of their body type or their genome, just realize that they're basically like you, because they are you, because we're all smaller individualized units of source in essence. So why would you think badly of yourself when part of yourself is in a different body? Something to think about. Think that everybody is a soul. We're all part of the same larger volume of sentience and energy. It's just that different part of us is in a different body, and he's experiencing things, and that part of their sentience, that part of our sentience, collective sentience, is grateful for the opportunity to incarnate, and didn't have a second thought about what color skin the body's got, where it comes, where it's going to manifest from in terms of the location of the planet, how long it will last, what ailments it might have. It's grateful to be given the chance to incarnate. Okay, so just think about that. Think about everybody as being the same, and they've all got and taken with joy in their hearts the opportunity to incarnate, just as you did. Okay, so now it's time for the questions and answers. Welcome everybody to this almost Christmas 2022 World Satsanga. And thank you all for joining. There's quite a lot of people today, actually, about 13 people by the looks of it, including myself, of course. And let's get straight into the questions. I think Ula's got a question here first. An old subject. What is the percentage BAFFIL people in the human population now? How similar is it across event spaces? That's a very good question. I'm told it's about 58% right now, which would make sense when we look at the strange things that are happening and the strange decisions that are being made across the world. In terms of how similar is it across event spaces, it's fairly consistent because, well, plus or minus 10% or so. I'm being told 15% plus or minus, because we do have, in general, the same direction. It's just that we have slightly different variations upon the same theme, but we're going in the same direction in general. It's just some parts of us are much faster and some parts of us are much slower, which is in terms of our evolutionary progression, and therefore those individuals who move into the fourth frequency level, who we can't see right now, but they can see us still. And if some of you people, you may have already experienced being in the fourth frequency. You're here because you're helping others, basically. That's why you'll still be able to operate in this level. But also, don't forget, we're also operating on a different level than the standard frequency. So those of you who are on the fourth frequency level, you may find that you go into things like shops and things, and you're standing by the person at the counter, and they ignore you. And then somebody else comes along and they get served first, and it's that you only get served when you start to lose your patience a bit, which brings you down the frequencies. And then they give you the classic response, "Oh, sorry, I didn't see you." And it's the same if you're driving a car, you get cut up. So just be aware that sometimes we have to think of ourselves as a lower frequency to exist here if you're operating at a higher frequency. Okay, next question from that. Are the new children born since 2000 higher frequency hybrids, or just more backfill babies? A mixture of both. Obviously, there's a slightly higher percentage of backfill at the moment because there's more people moving out of the third frequency level, more into the fourth frequency level. But I am being told that we are starting to move slowly out of our sort of nosedive, and we're bottoming out, and therefore there are going to be more. There's a plan for more high frequency individuals being incarnated on the earth, which is a bonus, really, because we do need them right now. We definitely need them right now. And are most BAFFIL people coming as walk-ins or existing bodies or as new babies? Basically, they're new. People who move in as walk-ins tend to be evolved individuals who've done a lot of incarnation at the moment. Backfill people haven't done any incarnations, and they generally only do one and they're also, as I've said before, they're also sort of protected from karma. And they need to be protected from karma with what they get involved with sometimes. But basically, they're there to help us continue what we're doing without the shock of waking up and finding half the population of the earth gone. So they're maintaining the population of the earth, although there's a general movement where we may well be starting to lose the population of the earth now, because we do need to lose it, because the earth can't sustain the level we've got, which is 5 times what we had 100 years ago. It's an amazing difference. Okay, next question from Daniel, I think. Your recent alien presentations were wonderful, thank you. Well, thank you very much. Question: Dolores Cannons did not object to working with aliens. She just did not want to ever see them or look at them. Why are aliens so strange looking and almost ugly and perhaps scary? Could they have a more pleasing and beautiful appearance, or are we seeing it differently than perhaps the way it should be seen? Are they really scary to look at? We're scary to look at in comparison to how other entities see us. We are, bags of salt and water with quite fleshy outer extremities, and we're not very resilient, basically. So then we might be seen as being inferior in terms of a body form factor, but it's only us. We're uneducated. We think of something as being not human as being horrendous or horrible or scary. we even have the same potential for having the same thought process against the human genre itself. We have the demarcations of different types of human being, with the different colors of skin, different body types, whether it's large or small, long or tall, or short. We tend to get discriminated against with that as well. So we find that abhorrent. So when we can start to understand that we are humans, well, we're souls in a human body, then we can start to recognize that there's other bodies out there that are going to be just as capable or more capable, that house a soul, and therefore they have their own level of beauty as well. Just look at the number of different form factors we've got on the earth, different insects, different plants, different animals, different fish. Some of them are quite capable of containing some level of sentience. And so if we can work upon these different variations as being the norm and more, then we won't find them anywhere near as ugly, so to speak. Next question. Where the oceans of planet Earth at one time all fresh water, is the salt water we experience in the oceans a result of the nefarious contamination by alien beings to eliminate the humans, or cause difficulty for the humans on the Earth? Should the oceans be fresh water? Were they contaminated by evil forces? No, it's simply a geological condition where there's a lot more minerals in the water that creates this salty appearance. Fresh water is simply from the sky. It's the function of the weather, basically, the evaporation of water from even the oceans, or even from large bodies of water that are captive in land, such as lakes or rivers. And when it rains, it just comes down as purified. So the effect of evaporating and then purifying creates the fresh water part of what we've got. So salt water is actually more natural. Everything else is a function of weather, really. The environment, or the environment and the atmosphere working together to create a different function of water, which is obviously very, very useful, because it irrigates the land, and it allows things like plants and trees to grow, which scrub the atmosphere of carbon dioxide. Good. Okay, next one's from Julia. The ascendant of Earth, which is going to happen in about 150 years, is it the very first time for the Earth to go that high? Has anything similar before happened on the Earth? For example, the Mayan civilization. Yes, Maya is a good example of it. Actually, civilizations before Atlantis have also ascended, or should say human civilizations, or humanoid civilization on Earth. The human body's had a number of different frequential developments over the years, with the body being modified or modifying naturally through sort of Darwinian evolution to be able to cope with the loss of frequency. So we have had a number of different civilizations or groups of individuals who've ascended beyond the need to be here at this frequency level, and Maya is one of those where there's been a group ascension, so to speak, which is quite rare. We like to have a group ascension, but in reality we have individualized ascension. But when you're working together with a group of individuals who are sort of isolated from the rest of the world, it's possible that they can in fact ascend together, and they did. And when they ascend, they go into a different frequency level, and there's nothing you can see that is any archaeology at all that represents them being there at a different level as well. Okay, next question from Julia. What is the percentage total of true energetic souls in total that ever have experiences, or to say have past lives on Earth? And what's the average number of past lives these true energetic souls have on Earth? Well, I think in one of the books there was a comment about the number of true energetic cells that were created, or individualized units of sentience that the source created. I can't remember which book. It might be The Origin Speaks. So I challenge you to read the book and have a look, because I can't remember. If you think about it, the amount of stuff that goes through my head, it's difficult enough to remember it, to type it, let alone think about it or remember it several years later. But there is a number of, it's in its billions and trillions, basically, the number of true energetic cells. If you think of us, if you think of the true energetic self as being equal to six levels of below the atom, and then the source being equally as big as the Earth, and that gives you an idea of how small we are in comparison to the source, and therefore how many countless billions or trillions of true energetic selves there are. So I can't answer I can't answer you the exact figure, but I think it's in the Origin Speaks that will tell you. The average number of lives, well, to be honest, over the number of people I've seen on a consultation basis over the years, there seems to be an average of around 24, 25, 26,000 on Earth, and around the same for incarnations in the rest of the physical universe. But there are people who've had significantly less, and there are people who've had significantly more. So that's the sort of average of the people I've seen, not the average of people in totality. But I guess you could probably say that that's a reasonable, from the sample of the thousands of people I've seen over the years, you can probably say, well, it might be a reasonable extrapolation that might be a reasonable average. So let's say it's around 24, 25,000 in general for people. Okay. If somebody has been treated very badly, for example, a serious childhood abuse, what's the best way to deal with the darkness after the person's grown up? Which is quite a common thing, actually, unfortunately. If the person tries to endure and do not transfer the energy to others, what's the best way to handle bad energy? It's not being in that situation myself. It's very difficult to put myself in that situation, to be honest. But the only thing I would suggest we could do is detach ourselves from it. Consider it as being an experience. Forgive ourselves for allowing ourselves to be in that position, which was sometimes we had no choice. But also forgive those who abused us, and then move on. And that may well be that you have to move away from that particular family unit totally, and that might be the best way to do it. So that's the only thing I can think of. It sounds a bit, well, that's not solving the problem. It's not solving the problem. It's detaching you from the problem, removing the karmic links between you and that individual. And that's the most important thing. So I would suggest that's the way to do it, is to forgive yourself, forgive them, and reset. Do a reset. Reset the clock, reset your existence in terms of that, what's happened, and move on. And be kind to yourself. And those who you meet who might be potential partners, you don't need to tell them, but you just need to say that, I have worries about certain things, and therefore, to take things gently, because we have to gain confidence as well, don't we? If we experience these things, because it can be quite a thing which follows us all the way through our lives, and will stop us from enjoying our incarnations. We can enjoy our incarnation as well. So that's the way to do it, really, if you can do, is to detach from it and move on. The other thing is you can have some psycho-spiritual reprogramming as a healing, or go to a good hypnotherapist, such as one of Dolores Cannons' QHHT practitioners. But look for a good one. Want to be able to, again, detach you energetically from those links as well. So you can also have those links detached, those karmic links detached as well. There's another one from Daniel. Are we improving on this planet, or is it even going further south? What will it take to turn us around and move from non-integrity to integrity? Since this planet is so important, are we getting the help from? Are we getting the most help we can get to help us turn this around? Actually, I think we're turning it around. As I said a moment ago, we're starting to bottom out. And I've said this a few times, actually. We are starting to bottom out. And there's been a couple of things which have really struck me as being movements forwards. One is the international agreement to protect at least 30% of the Earth, the environment by 2030. And the other is the discovery of how we can maintain, to a certain extent for the moment, nuclear fusion, which is the way the sun works, which will create a perpetual energy machine, basically, because the amount of energy coming out of fusion is about 50% more than you put into it. So you get enough energy to come out, refeed the reaction, we started off again, but you get energy out as well, more energy than you need to restart the reaction. So that can be used for electricity. So I was starting to think, and it doesn't create radiation, it doesn't create any issues. It's a bit mechanical at the moment, and we need to be able to work with other ways of doing the same thing, or discover how we can use sacred geometry properly with the different materials associated with it. But it feels to me that we're starting to get the right technology at the right time and the right thought processes at the right time to start to turn us around. We have the potential, and we're looking like we might be doing some mature decision processes, which is wonderful. So I'm starting to become enthusiastic about the governance of the earth right now. Next question from Faith. We experience void during our meditation. Is the void that we experience in the first dimension? If not, where is it? Do we have more than one void? If so, if yes, how many differences? There is only one real void, and that is beyond the structure of the origin. It's called substructural space, and it's something I'm working on right now, and it's mind-blowing. Yeah. But what we do when we're meditating, we experience nothingness. It's because we are experiencing being. It's the interface between being here and being connected with our true energetic self and the rest of the multiversal environment that we normally exist within. But we need to sort of allow ourselves to detach. So this feeling of nothingness, or void, so to speak, when we're meditating, is our passage through detachment and reconnection. So we have to continue to be dedicated and move through this void so that we can continue to move forwards and then raise our frequencies as a result of it. If we get the void and we think we're doing nothing, then we start to lose our motivation and our confidence, and in doing that we lose faith in what we're doing. Sorry about the pun there, Faith, but we start to then move away from doing it, and then we've lost momentum. The idea is to keep going. We do a lot of work on the level, and then sometimes we jump up and we jump back down again. So it's like a big bird trying to fly. They run, jump up, don't get airborne, come down again. They run along again, jump up, don't get airborne, and come back down again. And eventually they do take off. And that's what happens to us when we're meditating. We start to rise to the frequencies, and then something happens and we come out of it, and we do it again. And then something happens, like we feel energy going up our spine to our head, that's our brain. And then we think, what was that? And we come out of it. And so we have to keep going and keep going and keep going. So never give up, just keep going. And this almost answers question 3 from Faith here. What are the differences between awareness via Kundalini awakening and via self-inquiry and expansion? Kundalini is basically feeling the energies associated with connecting with the higher frequencies. And it usually travels up and down the spine. In the location of the Hindus call the Sushumna, which is where the energy that feeds or connects the different chakras together. So that's basically a sensation you will feel. It's like a milestone that will let you know that you are moving upwards the frequencies, and you are getting some feedback from it. And self-inquiry and expansion is basically focusing on the connection between you and source, or you and the multiversal environment. So the Kundalini side is a function of progression through meditation and self-inquiry and expansion, basically. It's a milestone. 4, does TTF provide expansion to achieve the same awakening as Kundalini? Some people have experienced that way. I see it as being connectivity. But yes, you can get the Kundalini awakening as a function of it. And I've had, in the early days, I used to get lots of jumping from the energy was jumping through me. Now it's just there. So the answer is yes, it's another milestone that works. That's also, it's a common milestone for all true paths, basically. Same with Kriya Yoga. And number 5, if I can get my mouse to work. How can we or you override subconscious programming? Subconscious programming is difficult because we don't know it's there, usually. It's just like a subroutine in the background. What we can do, though, is notice our habits, because our subconscious programming manifests as habits, things that we do automatically without realizing it, such as wanting to have a bag of crisps or chips. People smoke as a habit. They don't realize they're doing it half the time. We breathe, which is useful as a habit as well. So, and an automatic function of our bodies, called the herring brewer reflex, believe it or not. So, it's if we're doing something that we do subconsciously and automatically, that's a subconscious level of programming. So what we need to do then is to stop ourselves, write down what we do automatically without thinking, and if we desire it, or it's desirable as a thought, behavior, and action, it's like as a high frequency thought, behavior, and action, then why not? Why not continue? But if it's not, then the thing to do is to make a note of what's there, make a note of what you're doing, and every time you go down that path, try to stop it. And that's the only way to do it. The only other way is to, again, is psycho-spiritual reprogramming. But the thing is, if it's a chronic issue, like a lifelong issue, then basically it's hard work to do, and it needs dedication, devotion, and continuing to spot ourselves. And eventually we'll start to erode it away. Question 6, do we have a choice to ascend with or without our body? What happens when one ascends with his or her body? Do we still leave the body here? Well, ascension is twofold. One, we reascend back into the frequencies where we naturally exist. We wouldn't want to take an old body with us. Would you want to take an old car with you? No. Basically, the body is just a vehicle. We need to detach from the function of a thought process that we need to have our body. We are sentience that uses energy to experience, learn, and evolve. And that sentience and energy is allowed to, by being funneled down to the lower frequencies, to connect with and animate a vehicle which has a limited expectancy in terms of its functionality. When we ascend properly, the ascension is the sentience moves back out of the body, back to where we come from. If we manage to move up the frequencies whilst we incarnate, then we move into the next frequency level with the body in that instance. But that's only for the remaining time that the body's got available in terms of its own existence before it starts to demise naturally as things fail. Okay. When we ascend, do we ascend from each dimensions, or our ascension is from all dimensions within this multiverse? We ascend to the dimension that we naturally exist within. So, for instance, if somebody's existing in the third frequency of the second subdimensional component of the fifth full dimension, that's where they'll go back to when they finish this incarnation. If they continue to evolve, they'll move through all of these different frequencies, these different simultaneously manifest universes that exist within the multiverse, right to the top, so they'll end up in the 12th frequency of the third subdimensional component of the 12th subdimension. At that point, we can recommune totally with our true energetic selves. We might have done it before then anyway. And then when we've done it, and other aspects that are projected from our true energetic self have achieved the same thing, so collectively the true energetic self is at that level, then we can ascend beyond the multiverse and fully commune with source. And then when every other true energetic self has done that, the source will detach from this particular area of structure that it currently occupies within the origin and attach itself to another level of structure and create a similar thing for it to experience through us the minute detail associated with that particular aspect of the origin. Okay, and Daniel saying happy holidays to us all. Thank you very much, and to our extended families. Thanking us all for being here. Right, so part of this is a question, I think. As today is the darkest day of the year, the light begins to return. The days are getting longer again, and a brand new year with the new opportunities that are opening up. What does the new year look like? Are we going to be able to push the consciousness up to the scale of consciousness to a very high level? Will we get the help we need? We're starting to help ourselves, and that's the most important thing. If we get help, we don't do it ourselves. And so the quality of the evolutionary content associated with that isn't as much as it could be. So we can help ourselves. We can pull our own aeroplane out of a downward spiraling sort of descent and come out the other side. Then we have learned an awful lot, and we evolve an awful lot as a result of it. So we won't be getting much help, but we are, as I've just said, we are doing better. We're starting to move on. And these two things have really given me, the thing with the nuclear fusion, and the thing with the United Nations, making a statement about doing at least, creating a condition where we can at least save 30% of the environment of the planet that needs to, such as rainforests, such as seas, lakes, the indigenous species and indigenous populations, is an amazing thing. And it does show that we are starting to get mature, and people do start to realize that we do need to look after our planet. Without it, the civilization is pretty doomed. So we are starting to go well. So I'm starting to see that next year's a minor change. The year after will be a bit better. But we will be starting to pull out of this downward spiral, and I'm starting to see other great things happen as well, such as the Chinese population are no longer being captive by the COVID-19 lockdowns. They're starting to be just allowed to carry on, because it's quite obvious that the COVID-19 is not what it was purported to be, but it still caused some problems and still caused some people to leave the planet. But right now we're starting to become more open again, which is really, really positive. Okay, next one from Faith. If you have not, could you set up our next lecture on free energy, prana, and triangulations, etc.? It's not super clear in the Origin Speaks. We're not supposed to give the Origin's not supposed to give us the calculations and the material designs to get free energy. But yes, why not? Let's see what we can do with the next lecture for January. Definitely have a look at that. Okay, we've got Eliza now. Do we have more than 7 chakras? What is the purpose of those above the crown, assuming they exist? There are people who say we have more than 7 chakras. This is nonsense. The chakras are basically a function of the need to provide energy to energy templates that create the human form. 3 of those energy templates and 3 sets of chakras are basically associated with the gross physical. What we do have is additional levels above 8th, 9th, and 10th, where there are interfaces that some people would classify as being a chakra, but they're not, where we come down the frequencies in the step down function. So we sort of funnel down into this very narrow, very low frequency environment through the Hara line, which is like this hypodermically thin, small pipe where our remaining connection to true energetic sources. So we do use another 3 sets of energies, but they're basically a step down function. They're the 8th, 9th, and 10th frequencies that are part of and used in conjunction with the physical universe. So it's worthwhile noting that. Okay. Next one from Andy. Do we think while in the energetic, or is it thinking a purely human mind faculty? Thinking is a function of sentience. So the answer is yes. We will be basically another way to describe it is we will be pure thought. That's another way of thinking about it. So sentience is like pure thought, although it's not anywhere near the right level of description, but that's a good way of thinking about it. Okay. There's Jagat. is awakening linked to traversing the frequency levels? If the etheric body programs of the RNA and the RNA programs DNA, can we by meditations and reprogram the etheric body and RNA? The answer is potentially yes. Awakening can be linked to traversing the frequencies, and people have awakened as a result of it, and I did. So there we are. And part of this now is, it said, hope you do not mind me asking, how did you come across the knowledge of the chakras? Did you read about them? Did source or origin instruct you about the chakras? Basically, my basic knowledge of the chakras was given to me by my healing instructor, who was a first generation student of Barbara Brennan. But then I gained more information from my own interaction with people and people's energies. So I started to realize that some of the work that Barbara had done was perfect, but I was going to another level down. So what happened with Barbara is she confused the auric layers with the energy templates. And it's quite obvious when you start to see the descriptions of what she's talking about and what she's presenting, that they're two different things. And I've always seen this, and I was a bit sort of surprised at first, but now I understand it. You don't question your instructor, do you? You try not to. Certainly not in public. So you find these things out later, and that's the whole point of evolving, isn't it? You know, we stand on the shoulders of giants, and other people stand on us. So we get the chance to understand more and more and more by working and getting more and more detail. So it's like having the tools to have the tools to have the tools. So question is from Julia. Right. So did the Earth itself, did it ascend before, or previously was it just a group of people? Just a group of people before. The Earth is a pan-frequential body. It exists on all the frequencies associated with the physical universe. So it exists on the first three that we've got now, plus the fourth frequency, plus the fifth frequency, plus the sixth frequency, up to the 12th. And what Dolores Cannon classified as the new Earth, in my understanding, is the fourth frequency level. What I'm going to do is send you a little article that I did when I presented it to Julia Cannon when I went to Dolores' funeral. I was the only author to go there, to be honest, which is a bit surprising, but nevertheless an honour. And I did a thing like that to try and explain, in my understanding, some of the things that Dolores had done. So I'll attach that, we'll link to it anyway, to the email and to the blog. Okay, so it helps people understand. We've only got 5 minutes, so I've got to be a bit quick. Okay, Jagjats. In India, Thursday is considered spiritually a heavy day. Can you comment if there's such a thing? Well, there's a little thing, there's a little rhyme, and I can't remember it, but I know that Thursday's child has got far to go, which usually means you've got a lot of work to do. So I think that what's happened is there's been a little bit of a splitting and a change of direction for the understanding. Wednesday's child is full of woe, and there's a whole bunch of them. If I can find the poem, I'll also attach it. But I think that some of the Hindu texts have looked at it as being, this not just a case of if you're born on these days. It's these days are specifically manifest as being Wednesday's woeful, and Thursday, in my example, because I was born on a Thursday, has got, his hard work, he's got far to go, got lots of stuff to do. Okay, I'll see if I can dig that out as well. Okay, and the last one, we might be the last one actually. This is from Rooney. Can you tell me about the mechanics of Reiki attunement? Should some people not get attuned to Reiki because their unique energy body is not compatible to it? I hope to begin learning Reiki soon, but I'm waiting since August on my selected Reiki masters to be ready to have a course. Reiki is a single frequency or single energy healing medium. And basically the attunement thing is, it's something humans want to have, to give them permission to be able to, or the confidence to know they can heal. It's like getting a degree. You got a certificate. Wow, I'm now a certain level of education. That's what it is, basically. In essence, we don't need it. But what we do like to have, and what we do need, is the direction to heal properly and use the right techniques properly. So, in essence, if you've received an attunement, then you're basically being advised that you've reached a certain level of competence, really. But you don't need to have the achievement in reality, because if you feel you can heal, you can heal. But sometimes we need to have other levels of teaching to allow us to tap into other energies, other modalities, and also start to expand sometimes our own level of healing processes as well. Okay. And jagged us again. We're down to 3 minutes, so I might have to add in the final questions at the end, offline. Onion and garlic are considered low-grade food in terms of frequency in India. What do you comment? Are foods low frequency and high frequency? Yes. Actually, onions and garlic are very good because they are, I've forgotten the word now, but they stop things like bacteria. They are a bit like penicillin, and they are good. They're not bad. Root vegetables are high frequency. All vegetables are high frequency basically, but if they're more in the ground, they've got more energy. So they are good. So the more earthbound a food is, the more high frequency they are, because they're closer to the closer to nature. Okay. They provide a sterilizing function, onion and garlic, specifically garlic. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Anita said, now, if the second incarnation ascended but decided to stay on Earth in the same body, what's happened to the first incarnation? This is talking about people who've got a primary and a secondary incarnation. The secondary incarnation will not descend beyond the primary incarnation because it's the same soul. So whatever a second incarnation is doing, it's the same soul. It's like a twin flame. But it will stay on Earth until its body demises, and then it will return back into the primary incarnation. Except in rare situations, it might be the other way around. The primary incarnation body might demise first. Then that's the rest of the soul will go into the secondary incarnation. There'll be a feeling of enlightenment or expansion, and then the incarnation continues until the secondary incarnation naturally finishes or demises. Okay, I think we've finished now. Antimicrobial root veggies, yes, they've got those as well, definitely. So do eat things like garlic. There's nothing wrong with them. Thank you very much, everybody. Look, less than a minute, so I'd just like to wish you a fantastic New Year, obviously with Christmas as well. Look after each other, be of service to each other, and detach from the nonsense in the world and do the best thing. So be of service by being leaders, by showing how we should live, by living by example. That's the best way to do it. Blessings to you all. Namaste. God's love to you all. Welcome to the meditation of the Satsanga held in December. And upon request, what we're going to do today is to provide healing for the earth in a completely different way than I've done previously. I know that there's a earth healing meditation a long time ago, but this is a completely different one, and it's going to involve the energetic templates associated with the earth. We have energetic templates that create the human body, and there's also energetic templates that create the earth for the frequencies that we use as incarnate human beings as well. So we're going to use those 7 energetic templates. We're also going to use the chakras to enable us to increase our frequencies so that we can work on these different levels. I'll explain how we do that as we go along. It's very simple. You can use your visualization, or you can use your mentally spoken word, i.e. speaking mentally or speaking very quietly out loud. That's okay. This healing will also benefit the earth multiple ways, because we've polluted the earth a lot. We've also deforested the earth a lot, which is creating a conditioning which is detrimental to our environment, our atmosphere, if you want to call it that. And also we've destroyed a number of different animal or insect and of course plant life on the planet, which upsets the total environmental condition balance, the if you want to call it that, the equilibrium of the planet. So in doing what we're doing now, we're recreating a condition where the energy templates, because we work on each energy template, are renewed, and therefore the Earth should, well, it will recreate its physicality as a function of copying what the energy templates are. So close your eyes. Let's create the meditative condition where we're sitting in a straight back chair, or if you're sitting on the ground, you can sit straight cross-legged, or in one of the various different types of lotus position, half or full lotus position. If you're sitting in a straight back chair, you can sit with your feet flat on the ground, palms placed uppermost on your upper thighs. That's the location where your thighs meet the lower body. And your back is straight, your neck is straight, and your closed eye vision is gently focused on the location of the spiritual or third eye. That's in between the two eyebrows or the bridge of the nose. And I want you to open your first chakra, your root chakra, whose origin is basically where the sex organ are, pointing towards the ground. So I wanted to open your root chakra, which is basically located where the sex organs are, and is a vertical chakra that points down towards the ground. To open a chakra, you basically ask it. You can visualize it as well, but asking it is quite universal. To extend to its fullest extent, which you're visualizing is around 30 centimeters, ask it to rotate clockwise. You don't need to visualize clockwise, just know that asking it to rotate clockwise makes it rotate clockwise and therefore pull energy in. As we do so, it elevates us to the first level of frequency. Good. Now I want you to visualize that you are seeing the Earth as if you're in orbit. We're quite some distance away from the Earth. So it appears to be the size of a large football from your perspective. A large football would be a ball that is around, let's say, 300 millimeters in diameter. That's in front of you. Now consider it as a matrix of lines. This is a sphere of lines. There's lines that go top to bottom. There's lines that go forwards to backwards. There's lines that go left to right. It creates a three-dimensional matrix. Only three-dimensional in the terms of up, down, left, right, forwards and backwards. X, Y, and Z coordinates, if you want to use them. Not in terms of a dimension, in terms of what scientists think a dimension is, or what I describe as a dimension in my dialogues within my books. Simply measure volume, but is expressed in a grid-like fashion. Now I want you to visualize if there's any holes or gaps in this matrix. If there are, it's usually indicative that some part of the Earth has a deficiency that maybe we've created through our deforestation, through our pollution, through our destroying of mountains, mining of natural resources, polluting of the seas. So just visualize that those lines on the left and right of the matrix are recreated or healed or regenerated. Those lines from front to back are also regenerated or recreated. And the lines from top to bottom are also regenerated or recreated. visualize them being recreated, or mentally ask them to be recreated, creates the same condition. They are regenerated as whole one-dimensional lines in forwards and backwards, left and right, or up and down axes. Okay. May have done the first level. Let's get to the second level by asking our second chakra, the sacral chakra, which has its point of origin 3 inches or 75 millimeters below our navel, our belly button, and projects forwards for the front chakra and rearwards for the rear chakra, to extend itself to its largest size. Again, it's around 30 centimeters or 300 millimeters, and ask it to rotate clockwise. And in doing so, it pulls in energy, and we're elevated to the second level. If you only visualize the front chakra, don't worry. Psycho-spiritually, the front chakra is our intention, and the rear chakra is our action with the horizontal chakras. And so whatever we do with the front chakra, the rear chakra copies like a mirror. So now you're on the second level. Again, visualize the earth as a 300 millimeter diameter football, that has got a matrix that's created through 3 axes, left to right, forwards and backwards, top to bottom. Now repair each of those axes, front to back, left to right, top to bottom, by visualizing them being whole. If you find holes, the holes that you found in the first level are generally represented in the second and the third frequency level, because these are the gross physical levels. Just visualize them repairing themselves so that this net work, like a fishing net, is recreated faithfully and wholly, without holes. Okay, now you've done the second level, we can go to the third level by again visualizing that our solar chakra, which is 75 millimeters above our navel, and of course it's horizontal, so there's a front and a rear chakra, extends to its largest condition, which is 30 centimeters or 300 millimeters, and rotates clockwise, or ask it to extend to its largest size and rotate it clockwise, and it will do. And this elevates us to the highest frequency that we would want to go to, which is the third frequency. And again, visualize the Earth from being in orbit, and it's the size of this 30 centimeter football. And again, visualize it as being a matrix of forwards and backwards, left to right, up and down matrices, like a net, like a fishing net in 3 axes. And again, look for the holes in the forwards and backwards, left to right, up and down condition of this 3-dimensional matrix, and state or use your intention to repair them. So there's no holes at all. And the 1-dimensional version of this matrix, 1 dimension means left to right, or forwards and backwards, or up and down, are repaired, so there's no holes. Now let's go to the fourth level. We get to the fourth level by opening our heart chakra. Our heart chakra is positioned in the center of the sternum. The sternum is the place where the left and right aspects of our rib cage at the front of our body is joined together. Again, it projects front and back horizontally. And to reach the fourth level, we ask or visualize that our heart chakra extends to its largest size and rotates clockwise, or just state that it's going to extend to its largest size and then rotate clockwise, and it will do, and you'll be elevated to the fourth level. And again, visualize the Earth as this 30 centimeter diameter sphere, this ball, the size of a football, with this matrix, this network that is forwards and backwards, left to right, up and down. And again, look for the holes and repair the holes in each of those three planes, those three axes. Use your intention for them to be whole and not holy. If you want to, you can state with your mind's voice or your outspoken voice that they are whole and that they are one. And so therefore gaps are therefore repaired. Good. Now we can get to the fifth level by asking our fifth chakra, the throat chakra, who has its place of origin at the center of the front of the neck, in the area of the Adam's apple for the male anatomy. Again, they are horizontal, forwards and backwards of the neck. And visualize or ask them mentally to extend to their largest size, gain this 30 centimeters, and rotate clockwise. And that elevates us to the fifth frequency level. And again, visualize the Earth as a football-sized sphere, 30 centimeters in diameter, with a matrix that creates it in the three axes of forwards to backwards, left to right, up to down. Look for the holes on each of those three planes and visualize them being repaired, or state that they are going to be repaired and that they are whole, that they are one. And there's no gaps in the net-like structure. Having done the fifth level, let's go to the sixth. And we do that again by going to the sixth chakra, the spiritual or third eye chakra, whose origin is in between the two eyebrows and above the bridge of the nose. Again, it's horizontal, so it's in front of us and behind us. And mentally state or visualize that it extends from its normal size to its largest size, which is around 30 centimeters. And it rotates clockwise. And this elevates us to the sixth frequency level. And again, look at the Earth as being this round sphere, football-sized sphere of 30 centimeters. There's a three-dimensional matrix of forwards and backwards, left and right, up and down. And that each of these axes, or these single dimensions, in terms of volume, as a network, and we repair all the holes that are there using our intention or a mentally spoken word that states that they are being repaired, and they have been repaired. So there's no longer any holes in the energy template of the Earth on the 6th level. Okay, when you finish that, you can move on to the 7th level, which is associated with the crown chakra, the 7th chakra. Its point of origin is at the center of the top of the head, the crown area, and points vertically up towards the ceiling. So use your intention, your mentally spoken word, to extend it. Its largest size is 30 centimeters in length. I rotate it clockwise, and this elevates us to the 7th level. And when you're there, again, visualize the Earth as this football-sized sphere, 30 centimeters in diameter, and that it's created through a matrix of 3 axes or 3 dimensions. Use that as a term for volume, which are left and right, forwards and backwards, up and down. And again, look for the holes and use your intention, your visualization, or your mentally spoken word to repair each of those different axes for any holes you see in the matrix. Okay. In repairing the Earth on these 3 different axes, on the 7 different frequency levels associated with the energy templates, we now recreate the energy template for the Earth. And in doing so, areas where there's, for instance, deforestation, loss of flora and fauna and insect life, will now start to regain that flora and fauna and insect life. The Earth will start to stabilize and will start to become what it was. And we will start to work with it in a natural way rather than an unnatural and invasive way. We can still maintain technology, but the technology will be used in a way that is in harmony with the Earth, not against the Earth. So having healed the Earth, it's now time to come back to the Earth level. So in doing so, we need to close the chakras one by one. And in doing so, all we need to do is to visualize or mentally ask those chakras to stop the rotation and contract back to their normal position. So let's do it one by one. So to go to the 6th level, mentally ask or visualize that the crown chakra, the 7th chakra, stops its rotation and contracts back into its point of origin, to its normal size in the center of the top of the head, the crown area. This brings us down to the 6th level. 6th level, we can go to the 5th level by visualizing or asking the spiritual or third eye chakras, 6th chakras, to stop their rotation and to contract back to their normal size, with their origin in between the 2 eyebrows and above the bridge of the nose. And this brings us down to the 5th level. To move to the 4th level, we do the same thing. We visualize, we use our mentally spoken word, stop the rotation of the 5th chakras, the throat chakras, and ask them contract to their normal size, which is in the center of the neck. And this brings us down to the 4th level. And to go to the 3rd level, again, we repeat the exercise. We visualize or use our mentally spoken word to stop the rotation of the 4th chakra, the heart chakra, and contract it back to its normal size, the center of the front of the sternum. And this brings us down to the 3rd level. At the 3rd level, we can go to the 2nd level by visualizing or using our mentally spoken word to ask or see the 3rd chakra, the solar chakra, to stop its rotation and to contract back into its point of side and to contract back into its point of origin at its normal size, 75 millimeters above the navel. And this brings us down to the 2nd level. Once we're on the 2nd level, we can come down to the 1st level by visualizing or using our mentally spoken word to stop the rotation of the 2nd chakra, the sacral chakra, and ask it to contract or visualize it to contract back to its normal size at its point of origin, 75 millimeters below the belly button. And this brings us to the 1st level. And on the 1st level, we can come back down to the earth level by visualizing or using our mentally spoken word to stop the rotation of the 1st chakra, the root chakra, and ask it to contract back to its normal size at its point of origin, which is where the 2 legs meet the lower body, in the area of the sex organs. It's the only other vertically opposed chakra. So when you're ready, you can come back into the room that you're in. Open your eyes. Take a drink of water to help ground you. And give thanks to the possibility of being able to heal the earth in a rather fundamental way, in a similar way that we can heal the human body by healing all the different energy templates associated with the gross physical, the first 3 frequencies, and the spiritual physical, the astral levels, the lower astral, lower astral, lower upper astral, and the upper astral levels. The melting pot of the gross physical and the energetic. So thank you for taking part in this December or Christmas Satsanga and December or Christmas meditation that is designed to help the earth regenerate and heal the earth. And for that, I am really grateful, as I'm sure the earth is. So God's love to you all, Source's love to you all, Earth's love to you all, and namaste from me.